Hey there, everybody. So I'm creating this video as just something to be helpful to people who are considering selling their home for sell by owner or already are and want to create or update their Zillow ad. So this is some recommendations for things you can do to stand out above the competition out there and really present your home in the best light. And when you do this right, and I'll show you a practical example of this, you can make a difference of tens of thousands of dollars in the ultimate sales price and the kinds of offers you receive from any prospective buyers for your property. Okay, so let's go over that. So as you can see, I've shared my screen here, and there are four main sections of your Zillow ad I'm going to talk about today, and what you can do to improve it. And like I said, stand out above the competition. So the first thing I always talk about, and this is the most important part of your Zillow ad, getting this right can make the biggest difference in the types of offers you receive and the kind of exposure your home gets. Okay. And that is this right here that my cursor is going around, the primary image to your Zillow ad. Now, you might be asking, why is this the most important part? Well, this is all a person sees, a potential buyer sees on Zillow before they click on your ad to see the rest of the details. Okay. So, does it make sense why, if you get this image right, you make it that much more likely you'll sell your property, right? Because they can't see the rest of your pictures, they can't see your description, anything else. All they see is this image. Okay. So, getting this image right is paramount to the effectiveness of your ad. Okay. So, what do I mean by getting it right? Well, here are my suggestions. And this, we find in the industry that when you do this right, it just makes the biggest difference in this right here, number of views. So you can see how many views this particular ad has had in the 5 days it's been on the market. And this isn't too bad. I have seen, and it's a rare thing, but on occasion, I've seen in 1 to 2 days on Zillow, a homeowner get as much as 1,000 views on their property. And in every case, it's this primary image has been stellar. Okay, so what do you do to improve that? Well, what I recommend is that you always do the front of your home, which this is a Google ad, Google Maps image of the home, which I've seen plenty of Zillow ads use. But you really want to get a custom image where you frame the outside of the home from the front and get the entire home in the shot. You don't want to be zoomed too far back. Get in nice and close at a time of day where it's well lit. And so if you have an image like that, but there's another day where it's brighter out, you can always take another picture and put it in there. But get a good hero shot of the front of your house. And if there's a tree blocking it and you feel like it doesn't look as good, maybe you take it at an angle. But just make sure you get a good shot where it frames the entire front of the home so people know what kind of home you have. The next thing I always talk about is the rest of your photos. So that primary photo is so important. But as you can see here, this particular ad doesn't have any other photos. The homeowner may be working on it. But what I want to talk about is, what do you do when you add these other photos? Because supporting photos do make a difference. Okay, so you have to first think to yourself, what is a buyer doing when they're looking at your photos? And the answer I've generally gotten is they're imagining walking around my house, right? And that's exactly right. Okay, so what is what is a potential experience someone could have from that? Well, have you ever had an experience where you looked at something online and then you went to see it in person and the experiences didn't match and you were frustrated? Well, what I'm going to recommend right now will help you avoid creating that experience for prospective buyers for your home. So, how do you do that? Well, you create an experience that's like walking through your home through your photos. So, I recommend that primary image, hero shot. The very next image down here should be your front door, maybe a shot of where you can see the porch as well. The next photo should be as you've stepped in the front door in your entryway. And then you put the rest of the photos you're going to put in there in an order as if you were touring somebody through your home. So think about that when you're taking your photos and then when you're ordering them on your ad. And then what I always recommend is, how do you end it? Well, you end in the backyard. You end with other exterior shots of your home. And perhaps before you go to the backyard, you can also show the interior of your garage. But if you do it this way, you create that congruence so that when a buyer sees it online, they're pretending they're walking through your home and then they get to your property and actually walk through your home. The experiences match in their mind. And hey, you just created in yet another advantage for yourself. And at least you've avoided that pitfall of having the experience not match. Make sense? All right, there's another area here that has two parts to it, and that's your property description. So that's always down here on the right. So this particular ad just has an overview, but there are actually two sections, like I said, of how you can describe your property. And I recommend using different types of ad language in these two sections. Okay, so for the overview, what I recommend is talking about the features and benefits of your property in as descriptive detail as you can, but also absolutely primary, you mention the upgrades that you've done to the home. Okay, and I'll explain a little bit more about that when we get to this estimate. So what I mean by describing it in as descriptive detail as possible is, let me use an example of another ad that I've seen. I've seen somebody say on their ad, huge master closet. And then I got to their home to take a look at it. And it turned out that this closet was 10 foot by 10 foot. All right. That is a really big closet, right? That's the size of a lot of bedrooms out there. So, what I would recommend to a seller in that case is you don't just say huge master closet, you say huge 10 by 10 master closet. And I think you can see why that would create an experience when somebody looked at that, like going, whoa, I might have to see just how big that is in person. That's a big closet, right? So if somebody's looking for something like that, they're not just going off well, your conception of huge, you're giving them concrete detail of what that means. All right. So that's what you talk about. You're talking to the logical buyers in your overview. And so what you're doing is you're trying to show them that 1 + 1 = 2, aka your list price. So talk about those concrete details, the features and benefits that justify your sales price. Okay. There's one other section that's not included in this particular ad, but anybody who makes a Zillow ad can put it in there, and it's called What the Seller Loves About This Home. And I recommend here, what I see a lot of times, an error some make, is they'll just use the same type of ad language they did in their overview when they describe more features and benefits. You want to approach this part a little bit differently so you can appeal to the emotional buyer. So overview, think logic, right? 1 + 1 = 2. What the seller loves about this home. Now let's talk to people about what it feels like to live in this home. So use language that describes that. It's so nice to be close to all of my favorite restaurants and shopping I can walk to, if that's the case. It's extremely cheap to uh, heat and cool the home because of its efficiency. Things that make people feel comfortable about the conveniences or the other features of living there that appeal to their emotion. And I hope that makes sense. So, overview for logic, what the seller loves about this home, talk about the language that's going to evoke emotions of what it feels like to live there. Okay. The last section I always talk about is the Zestimate here. And I call this the elephant in the room, it frequently is, because it's Zillow just doesn't know that much about your home. It's using a very basic algorithm to kind of give some sort of estimate of what your property might sell for, and it's frequently wrong to the tune, and I'll show you here soon, of tens of thousands of dollars. But I think we can agree that every buyer that looks at your ad going to hone in on that estimate and see how it matches up to your asking price. Okay, so in this particular example, you can see that this homeowner has asked for almost $15,000 less than this estimate. So what I recommend when you're in this scenario, so there's two things that what two different strategies you can use. What if you're listed higher and what if you're listed lower? In this case, you're listed lower than this estimate. What you want to tell prospective buyers on the phone and in person is, yeah, we've really listed this at a value compared to this estimate. We feel like we're providing really good value for the price. Okay, so make sure to emphasize that. What do you do if it's a reverse scenario? Let's pretend that it was listed at 330, right? And the estimate says 315. Where this is where you want to make sure prospective buyers on the phone and when they're in your home, you talk about features and benefits that Zillow doesn't know about, especially when it comes to upgrades and updates. All right, if you updated the roof 2 years ago, Zillow doesn't know that, right? If the HVAC is brand new, if it's got new carpet, whatever you've done to the property, make sure you tell the buyers that when you're meeting with them or talking to them, so you bridge that gap in their mind You don't have to address the elephant in the room directly, the Zestimate, but just make sure you are accounting for it when you're talking to potential buyers. I hope that makes sense. So I just wanted to give you an overview of all of that. So just a real quick recap. Your primary image is your most important thing. Get a hero shot of the front of your property. The rest of your pictures, you want to put them in an order as if you tour the home and in your backyard. In your property description, overview for logic, describe your features and benefits, what the seller loves about this home, talk about language that evokes emotion and what it feels like to live there, great neighbors, whatever you want to say. Okay. Zestimate, address that elephant in the room indirectly, price at a value, or mention your features and benefits. Okay. Now, I want to show you an example that I've found recently of somebody who has done a fantastic job at this. I'm going to pull that up for you right now. Okay. So here's a great example of a homeowner that was able to really feature her property that made tens of thousands of dollars difference in what she was able to sell her home for. Okay. So check out this primary image. What do we see? This is a townhome, but she framed the entire front of the home, the hero shot, right? Beautiful shot. It's nice and well lit. It's up close. It's not zoomed out too far. It's a great example of what I've been talking about. Now, check out the next couple pictures, the front door and the front porch, right? The rest of the pictures continue on to show that it's a really makes sense logically. I've actually been inside this home, and the pictures are exactly how you would be toured through the home. Now, the property description. Check out what this seller did, right? There's a lot of detail here and it goes down further. Line items of the features and benefits of this property. Okay. What the seller loves about this home. The open floor plan that's great for entertaining. I enjoy not having to mow my grass or maintain the exterior of my home, right? That is talking about the things that make people feel good about living there. And she really did a great job of explaining that to prospective buyers. And what did that mean? Well, let's take a look at the Zestimate. The Zestimate for this property was 440, almost 441. This owner got an offer within the first week of being on the market for full list price as a for sale by owner, right? That is fantastic. When you can make, I mean, look at this estimate, right? Imagine if she thought that this was going to be what she ultimately sold for, right? When you do your ad right, it can make a huge difference in what you ultimately make. And I hope that makes sense. And if you ever have any questions about that, reach out to me. I'd be glad to provide any help I can. And good luck selling your home.